Let me know if we're good to go. On film. Good to go. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Salatu salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. So brothers and sisters in Islam, the whole idea behind these classes are to gear us for Ramadan, firstly. Secondly, to impart some very important lessons so that we could derive the maximum benefit. You know, it's like somebody coming to the masjid for salah. To come with the correct clothing, at the correct time, in the correct manner, with wudu, walking in with a dua, all of these things add value, right? Coming to the masjid, like, oh, I'm just popping in because I'm in the area, and you wearing your work overalls and you make a slapdash wudu, don't check if your wudu is correct, you've got grease and whatever's under your fingernail. So this, you've made so much effort coming to the masjid, you're reading all your salah now at the masjid, for sunnahs and allahs, brother, but you didn't get any reward because you haven't done it properly. So that's why, like, if you're gonna make all the effort, like there's this famous story. The sheikh said to the student, like, if you read salah in this masjid behind me for 40 days, 5 salahs a day, I'll give you this cow. So in India, cow is very expensive and it's worth a lot of money. It's very valuable in the sight of the people. I mean, it's milk. The milk gives you ghee. The ghee gives you cream. You're talking butter. Now you can do all your bukhari with fresh cow's milk out the other, brother. Everything. So 40 days, 5 times a day, the man is in the masjid. After 40 days, the sheikh is stressed because he didn't have a cow. I said, what do you think he did? He said to me, brother, I'm sorry, but I actually just wanted to get you to the masjid. I never expected you to be so resolute. He said, I knew you were going to do this. This one never came with wudu. You came for 40 days, 5 times salah every day to the masjid for, and you made all that effort without wudu. But if he had a cow with wudu, he would have gotten a cow, brother. Think about it, the sheikh would have found that cow. Anyway, so like that, if we want to derive the full maximum benefit from tahajjud, we need to get into the groove for tahajjud. There was a very righteous man. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Abdul Rahman. Would you like to share the floor with me there? There's a very pious man, and he was a great scholar, very into his books and into writing and into authoring, but he wasn't into ibadah and spiritual reformation, which is probably the most important element of Islam, to reform yourself, to get to the stage of ihsan, where you are worshipping Allah as though you're seeing Him. And that takes time, that takes effort. So he goes and spends time in the company of a pious man, and he tells him from the onset, I'm coming here, but I'm not reading tahajjud, man. Not reading tahajjud. The sheikh said, no problem. But 3 o'clock, the whole khanqa, the whole zawiyah woke up for tahajjud. And everybody is making wudu, and everybody is in salah, and this one is crying, and that one is making dua, and the next one is making dhikr. You couldn't sleep. So what did he do? He got up for tahajjud. And he got up for tahajjud every single day after that. And he said, I never expected to feel such a connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as I felt in tahajjud. And I now literally spend my entire day waiting for nightfall so that I can get up for tahajjud. You understand? So if we prepare and we get into the groove and we do it properly with etiquette, then it's going to become far easier for us to experience that spirituality, and not only experience the spirituality, but it will become easier for us to continue in the tahajjud because we will derive the full benefit. Let me tell you one thing: if you have a problem and you wake up for tahajjud, you read your salah, and you make your dua, and you see your dua getting answered, right? That is one of the greatest encouragements to keep performing tahajjud salah, right? May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. So, next slide. And the next. 6 easy steps. Brothers and sisters in Islam, I did this myself, I'm very interested. 6 easy steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To get to a state of mind, like a paradigm, as some of the mashayikh like to use, a paradigm, where you are in the groove, you're in the mood, you are mentally ready for tahajjud. You spend the whole day in that frame of mind. When you go to bed at night, you get into that frame of mind. So next slide. You're going to click twice. Number one is to make a firm intention to wake up. You can click again and again. A firm intention to wake up, because this is what the hadith says. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Your actions. So this hadith is what is referred to as jawami al-kalim. Few words with deep meaning. The translation that has been given to this hadith, there are so many different translations that I can only share a few of them. Number one, actions are based on your intentions. Actions are judged according to intentions. Actions, like Imam Shafi'i interprets, are only valid if you make an intention. This is why intention is a compulsory element of wudu, compulsory part of salah. If you didn't make intention when you went to make a ghusl, you come out wet, brother, you don't have a ghusl. Understand? If you fall in the sea, you come out. If you're Hanafi, you got ghusl. If you're Shafi'i, you must jump back inside with intention. You understand? So intention is compulsory. And I prefer the view of it being compulsory, because otherwise what happens? We live by accident and not with purpose. We mustn't live by accident. We must live with a purpose, live on purpose. So actions are dependent on the intentions that you make. So when you go to bed at night, the first thing you do is to make a firm intention that, oh Allah, my intention is to wake up for tahajjud. Okay? So now there are two ways of doing this. Number one is, so for the Hanafi, for instance, our witr is compulsory to read witr. It might not be compulsory for the Shafi'iyah, but you should read your witr. Right? So Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, allow me to just put this on here. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu was very, very firm and very strong with his intentions. So he would delay his witr, which is the actual sunnah, until after his tahajjud salah. And Abu Bakr Siddiq was scared that what if I don't wake up for tahajjud? So he'd rather read his witr before he goes to bed, and then he'd wake up and perform his tahajjud salah. Right? So whichever of the two options you're going to go for, but make the firm intention that I want to wake up for tahajjud. Alhamdulillah, winter is coming closer. Cold, but winter is coming in. What this means is that the nights are very long. Tahajjud ends very late. So you can still wake up at 5 o'clock and get half an hour of tahajjud when you're in midwinter. You understand? Now what I'm gonna, the first, like I said, the first element is to make a firm intention. And intentions aren't just intentions, right? You need to follow your intentions up with an expression of some kind of an effort towards proving that your intention was sincere, right? So Brother Adil Bakr and I, for instance, make the intention that we want to go for Hajj. But we don't save a cent every month. I mean, brother, but we don't save 1 cent every month. Month after month, we squander all our money at Madinbi. You understand? Or at Bradford. Now, am I sincere in my intention that I want to go for Hajj if I'm not even saving? And we hear year after year, those old Indonesian aunties, they're saving 10 cents every week. 85 years old, finally she's got enough money to go for Hajj. She comes with a pillowcase of cents to the bank to get her deposit in to go for Hajj. Understand? So we need to follow it up. So one thing that we can do to prove our intention that I want to wake up for Hajj is to have a nap in the afternoon. Now many of us may work, but you get a lunch break. 15 minutes in the car is very doable. But I have that short little why laughing, sir? You don't get lunch break. Change your job, brother. They don't deserve you. They don't deserve you. You haven't got it. So, a short nap in the afternoon. And it's like the pious people have said, but if you're having a nap in the afternoon, not wake up for the tahajjud, then you don't deserve your nap in the afternoon. Because the purpose of that nap is to make up some sleep so that tonight you can wake up for tahajjud. So tomorrow morning you can wake up a bit earlier because you've got in your quota 50 minutes in the car, so cut off 15 minutes at night. All right? The other thing is, if you have the firm intention of waking up for tahajjud and you didn't wake up, because you had a sincere intention to wake up for tahajjud, Allah will give you that reward. Niyatul mu'min khayru min amali is a hadith to that effect. The intention of a believer is better than his action. Because in order for us to get the reward for the action, we have to actually do it. But we get the reward for the intention whether we do it or not. You understand? There's a hadith that says if a person intends to do good and he doesn't actually do it, he will get one reward for the intention. And if he does the good, he'll get the reward of the intention and the good that he does. But if a person intends to sin and he doesn't sin, then he will get a reward for not sinning. You understand? That's if he changes the intention. If he doesn't change the intention, when he gets the opportunity, Sheikh, no sin. And if he does the sin, only one sin. But if he did the good deed 10 times, the reward. Do you understand? So with the intention, in the very least, I'm getting one reward. Am I not? Okay, so that's the other thing. And remember, like I said, actions, intentions without any follow-up kind of action to prove it, it's not really an intention. You're doing what you know is the right thing. It's like if I ask you, who do you love the most? In your mind, first thing everyone's going to say is, I love Allah and I love Rasulullah. Because you know that's the right thing to say. It's a logical love. But emotionally, if I say, who do you love the most? You understand what I'm saying? Someone is going to come to mind. You know what I mean? Okay. So please, brothers and sisters in Islam, step number one, I can't point like, it's sitting right there. So step number one is to make the firm intention that I want to wake up for Tahajjud. Oh Allah, I'm going to wake up for Tahajjud tomorrow morning. Step number two. See what he's done? So 3 cups of coffee, ready the night before. Okay? Ready the night before. Prepare. That's coffee, brother. Prepare, set your musalla, your kurta, your coffee, and everything in place before you go to bed. If I remember correctly, there's a hadith in which it's mentioned Rasulullah used to keep his musalla folded by his pillow for when he wakes up for Tahajjud. Do you remember that hadith, Shaykhana? Right. I'm just confirming. I'm not trying to put you in a spot. I'm just confirming that I'm not like hallucinating or anything, right? So I remember reading in the books of the Mashayikh from Yemen, right, from Hadramaut, that they've got this entire procedure that they go through when preparing for Tahajjud. Make sure your kurta's right. Put your coals ready with your lighter and your coffee pot, olive beans in, water in. So when you wake up, then you light the coals, you go to the toilet and you make wudu and all that. When you come back, your coffee is boiled. You understand? I'm going to take it a step further. Alhamdulillah, apart from load shedding, we live in South Africa, we've got electricity. Get a flask. Make your coffee and everything the night before. Keep it ready there with your musalla. So when you wake up for Tahajjud, everything is already there. So you don't have to still fumble and fall. And I'm going to give you a context to this, right? If you can click one more time for me. Another time. If you had an overseas journey, like some brothers went to Morocco, I won't mention names. Now, presumably the flight left at 3 a.m. Okay? The flight left at 3 a.m. Did he wake up at 3 a.m. and start packing his bags? Did he wake up at 3 a.m. and go look for his passport and his tickets? No. You set all of that ready. Make sure your bags are packed from before. Your keys are by your neighbor. Everybody is aware that you're leaving. Your street group knows you're going. You've got a spare key hidden in a flower pot that only one other person knows about. That alarm company, your credit card company knows because that comes as a free service, travel insurance. They know you're traveling, but you woke up at 3 a.m. to pack your bags. Does it make national sense? No, you prepare from before. So like that, when we're going on what they refer to as salatu mi'raj al-mu'min, that your salah is like a mi'raj for a believer. It's not a hadith, by the way, but it's a statement of the pious people, and very much so. So if we can get into the mode of salah, and we're truly in the moment there, which brings me to another topic to discuss, deep work. Deep work. Yeah, the Abad Franco way. Really focus on being in your moment, right? Cutting off other distractions. So if you prepare your stuff from the night before, when you wake up, even if you wake up 10 minutes late, there's only 15 minutes left, right? You still only need to go to the toilet, make wudu, and jump on your musalla, and you can still read 2 rakats before the time is over, because everything was ready. You understand? Your kurta was ready. And I'm not suggesting you must all sleep in your kurta already. No, Imam, I make wudu before I sleep, so when I wake up, I'll got wudu for that. Make wudu again when you wake up, right? But keep everything ready the night before, right? And that is another expression that my intention was sincere, because I have the intention of waking up for Tahajjud, so I make sure my coffee is there, my musalla is there, my kurta is ready and everything, and I make a thing of it, right? So when you put in the effort, then your heart kind of goes towards it, isn't it? Right. So I will click again. This is another expression. How's that alarm though? Yo, let's just be honest. if you had an alarm like that, you'd definitely wake up with Tahajjud, right? You remember those alarms at school? Anyone had that alarms? Yeah, those was in madrasa. If you didn't want to wake up, you wake up. Because you slept next to you slept on the other side of madrasa, you wake up with that alarm. Right? So we need to set an alarm, right? It's a tool. But I want to go a little bit further, right? If you and your spouse, you and your wife want to read the Tahajjud together and you help one another to wake up for Tahajjud, right? I'll get to that hadith a little bit later. But make your spouse an alarm to wake up for Tahajjud. Understand? And I'll tell you why. Because if the alarm goes off and she slaps you, hey, time for Tahajjud. Or her alarm goes, you slap her, hey, time for Tahajjud. Put your alarm on. Don't slap her hard, man. My one friend slapped his wife. Awake, bro. In his sleep. She woke up, what's going on? He's after sleep. So then that's another expression that I want to wake up. So after one person would make sure I get up for Tahajjud to wake me up as well and help me wake up. And if you try to wake the person up and they don't, you also got a reward. If you try to wake them up and they wake up, ishfa'u tujaru. Nudge the man and put a good word in, and you also get the reward. You try to help him get up, you try to wake that person up, they didn't wake up, but you tried, you'll get the reward. If they did, you'll get more reward because now that's all he's reading because you woke him up. Right? However, I want to point out a very serious kind of a spiritual point here that I learned from a very pious man, Sheikh Ilyas Mawku. I mentioned him in the Jumu'ah today as well. That I was missing Tahajjud, right? And please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying I'm reading Tahajjud now. Okay? At the time, when I really wanted to read Tahajjud, and I'm giving these lectures to encourage myself as well, inshallah. I mean, brothers. Okay. So, I was missing Tahajjud like every day. In fact, I went on the Umar ibn Khattab thing. I was like, no, I'm not going to read my witr, so I have to wake up with Tahajjud. Like day after day after day, I would literally start my witr 1 minute before time expires. So at least it's still halal witr. You understand what I'm saying? Day after day. And I said to him, like, I can't wake up, bro. Even setting like 3 alarms. And he says to me, that's the main point. The problem is, Zakaria, you've put your trust in your alarm to wake you up, and you haven't put your trust in Allah to wake you up. Use the means, but let's go to the next section there, right? Use the means, but keep in the back of your mind as we get to prisoner point 4, right? By point 5, as we get to keep in the back of your mind that an alarm is a means to an end. Much like your job is a means to an end. If you in your mind think that if I don't go and work, Allah won't sustain me, then you have not understood how Allah operates. Okay? And we're not saying don't go and work now and wait for the food to fall in your mouth. This is a very interesting story as well. So Imam Ghazali mentioned the story. Person decided, no, Allah says, Allah yarzuqu man yasha bighayri hisab. Allah will give rizq to whoever He wants, however much He wants. So he decided that Allah is Mar-Razaq. La nas'aluka rizqa, nahnu narzuquka. We not ask you for rizq, we give you rizq. Oh, and he went into like a whole other paradigm. And decided, no, he's going to go and sit on his musalla in the forest, and the food is going to come to him. Understand? Because I didn't think I understood before. You just forgot. I talked to you guys about it around coffee, I think, one day. So, man sitting in the forest on his musalla, and he starts getting hungry. And there's no food coming. The next thing he hears somebody coming down the road with his caravan or his donkey, and the food is on the donkey. And all the provisions and whatever's. And he says, there, see, Allah sending my rizq to me. And this person is walking past and he's coming closer and closer and closer, and now he's going further and further. First stops, he looks around, sees the sheikh there. Sheikh, guess what you're doing here in the bush? What a lucky opportunity for me. He ran there by the sheikh. Sheikh, what are you doing? He says, no, I dissociated myself from people, But the sheikh, like, don't worry, I got something. He brings the food, he sets it down, and then the sheikh starts eating. You have to cough, brother. You have to cough. You understand? You have to make your effort. Abu Bakr Siddiq became the Khalifa. Next morning, what did he do? Go stand in the minbar. He went out to go and cut firewood because that was his business. Until Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu went around and said, no, you can't be the Khalifa and still have to earn a living, you need to look after the Muslims. So what we will do for you is we will discuss with the senior Sahaba, get a stipend from the Baytul Mal, we will pay you a salary and look after your family. I'm not going to go any further into the details of salary because you've got half a sheep a day. But apart from everything else, it's serious. You have 15 sheep in a month, how much is? Monetize it, brother. 15 sheep in a month, 2.5K a sheep. I'm just putting it out there, right? So they paid for all his expenses. But what did he understand? That yes, I'm a Khalifa of the Muslims, but I have a responsibility to confirm. Anyway, so remember that with your shop, with your alarm clock as well. Your alarm clock is a means, but trust in Allah to wake you up. That's why you made an intention, right? That's why you set all your things ready to show Allah that your intention is sincere. Now you've set an alarm as one more effort on your part that I would like to wake up for Tahajjud. I would like to come and stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of us have needs. That is the ideal time to then present your needs to Allah. And this brings us to slide number 4. Brothers and sisters, there we go. Why do you want to wake up for Tahajjud? Number 1 is, I want to make a little bit of a sacrifice for Allah and worship Him because He deserves to be worshipped. Remember we spoke about that in Jumu'ah once? That have we ever considered just reading 2 rakats of salah for the sake of Allah, purely because Allah is Allah and He deserves to be worshipped? Did that ever cross your mind? So it crossed my mind one day. After I read a book called Rawdatul Rayaheen, a book with 1,001, literally 1,001 stories of pious people, right? And one of the pious people, the Nun Misri, was traveling, and he was a big saint. We'll go into a discussion on him one day, inshallah. There are 2 topics now: deep work and Nun Misri, right? Please write them down, I'm not forgetting it. So he's walking past a farm, and he sees someone standing under a tree. And as he comes closer, he sees this person is performing salah. So he goes closer to hear the person reading, not reading Quran. I'm saying it's daytime, you're not reading loudly, but just sit there in the company of the person, check his postures and whatnot. And this person, noticing that somebody's there, finished his salah quickly and asked, like, what are you doing? He says, no, it's good Muslim, mashallah, big chef of the time, great saint of the time, right? What are you doing? No, I had a day off, I've got nothing else to do, so I thought, what better thing to do than to spend my time worshipping Allah. Ever thought on your day off that let's come to the masjid and spend the day reading Quran, making dhikr, reading some salah? How about making some qada salah? Because most of us have some qada salah to do, right? How about going out and I've got some charity, some extra money, let me do some charity, spend my day in ibadah. Or day off, Netflix, popcorn, coffee, and waste the day away. Think about it. So remind yourself why you would like to wake up for Tahajjud. Maybe you've got a need that is just not getting fulfilled. Maybe there's a dua that you want answered and it's just not getting answered. You've been making it for long. Apparently it's not coming. Can you start Tahajjud now? You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you a story today, live. I went to Uncle Muhammad Rawat from Azadville. RVT Optical, he makes glasses. Okay? Go ask him this question. He'll tell you the whole story. Tell me the story of how your house got sold. He just sold his house. There's a man came up to him, offered him X amount of money for his house. He said, no, it's too little. Long story short, next offer came. Then he accepted an offer, and when it was D-Day, the man started making stories. After he'd already signed for another house, now he must put down 1.5 million for another house, and this man is now making stories. I'll give you half, and then I'm going to apply for a bond for the other half, and then the bank will give you the other half. The lawyers from the house that he's now purchased, want proof that he's got the bucks to pay for the house. Right? Goes to the masjid now, don't know what to do. Where did he go to solve his problem? The masjid. And the man who wanted his house in the beginning, who offered him cash for his house, walks into the masjid and he's like, don't run away. Let's just stay here for Asr, because if you leave, by the time you get to the next masjid, because you want to read earlier, it'll probably be over already. So just spend another 15 minutes, then it's this masjid's Asr. And so the man says, brother, whatever happened to your house? So he looked at him and said, phone me 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, he phoned the man who offered him the 50-50 story. The guy said, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. Phoned his money. He said, how are you going to pay me? He said, I'm coming with the cash now. He brought the cash live. He said, I have been waking up for Tahajjud and crying for your house. That's the kick, the punchline, the kick line, the punchline of my story, right? He was waking up for Tahajjud doing what? Crying for that house. And this entire ordeal unfolded so that he could get that house. So if there's something that you want, brother, whether it's forgiveness, whether it is rizq, whether it is mercy, whether it is a solution to a problem, whether it is a job, stand up Tahajjud time and ask Allah. There's a hadith that says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out in the last third of the night, هَلْ مِن مُسْتَرْزِقٍ فَأَرْزُقَهُ. Is there someone seeking rizq so I can give him rizq? Is there someone seeking so I can forgive him? Is there someone seeking what so I can give him it? So is someone seeking this, that, the next thing, anything so I can give it to him? Now when Allah is asking, so the mashayikh go into it, effectively Allah is asking you what you want. Whereas normally we're making the asking Allah what we want. Here Allah is asking, do you want? Do you want? Do you want? You don't wake up and ask. You're missing out. It's like Sheikh Laili, the multi-billionaire, he stands by the side of the road with 1,000 rand what? Do you want? Anyone going to say no? Unless you don't walk past it. Unless you don't walk past. So when Allah is coming, okay, so the hadith is Allah comes into the first sky, right? It's not like Allah's one physically descends and He's sitting in the first sky looking at us like this. It's the special focus and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bet you got a picture of all like I'm not saying. You understand what I'm saying? This is the problem. This is the problem with that whole story. Right? You need to understand it in context. Anyway, the point is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focuses special rahmah on the first heaven at the time of Tahajjud because you are sacrificing your sleep to stand in front of Him and ask Him for something. You understand? And why it's so special? Because if you really think about it, percentage-wise, what percentile of the ummah actually stands up in Tahajjud? Hey? What percentage of Muslims are awake that time making Tahajjud? You understand? That's why it's important. So, let us first remember the great reward that is to be had for performing the Tahajjud Salah, right? It is a reward that the Anbiya alayhi wassalatu wassalam used to perform. It was fard in the beginning of Islam, along with Fajr and Asr. And then after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the 5 Salat to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Ummah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, Allah abrogated the compulsory status of Tahajjud and it remained Sunnah, right? But all the mutaqaddimeen, the pioneers of the Sahaba, the first group of Sahaba, who used to perform Tahajjud when it was compulsory, they maintained their Tahajjud after that. Why? Let me tell you why. When you have come to me every day and I've given you everything you've asked for, Brother Adil, after you got what you asked for, do you forget about me? Do you abandon me? Do you turn your back on me? When you have gone to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every night in Tahajjud and you've prayed and you've asked and you've begged and you've sacrificed for Him, you've shed blood for Him like the Sahaba did, you've given money for the sake of Allah to please Him like the Sahaba did, you've lost family members for the sake of Iman, you've been rejected by your community for the sake of your deen and your Iman like Sahaba, then when it's no longer compulsory for you to go there, you will still go there out of gratitude. You still go there out of gratitude. Think about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Did he really need to do a single good deed? He was the beloved of Allah. He's like Jannah's booked, brother. You understand? So when you ask yourself, why would he sacrifice so much? Why would he make so much ibadah? Why would he spend the night in Tahajjud that his feet would swell up? And when they asked him, like, what is the purpose when Allah has forgiven any mishap that may hypothetically or theoretically occur, right? I mean, you're the beloved of Allah. There's no need for you to perform. He said, أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. Should I not be grateful for what Allah has given me then? If I have this, I didn't have to. Allah didn't have to choose me, but He did. Should I not be grateful? So don't we have anything to be grateful for that we can stand up and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, Alhamdulillah ya Rabbil Alameen. Please don't say, Jazakallah ya Allah. That's like saying, oh Allah, please may Allah reward you. They don't make any sense. Jazakallah doesn't mean thank you in Arabic. Please remember this. Kannallah, I've had so many arguments with people that to say thank you is un-Islamic. Jazakallah. Okay, so I'm going to say thank you, Allah. I say Jazakallah, ya Allah. Makes sense. Oh Allah, please reward yourself for what you've given me. So, saying thank you, yes, please, no, thank you is not un-Islamic behavior. It's common decency and etiquette. But please, when you want to thank Allah, praise Allah. Alhamdulillah. Oh Allah, I thank you. Allahumma laka alhamdu wa laka shukr. Oh Allah, all praise and all thanks is due to you. Right? Number 2, it was the practice, like I said, of all the pious people and the Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah announces whatever your need is, right? Allah announces, do you have this need? Do you have that need? And I will give it to you, right? And then the main thing is that you are showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is more important to us than even our physical needs. We all need to sleep, right? We all need to sleep. But it reminds me of a beautiful story of Salman Farsi. And he went to his Abu Dhar. The two of them almost together in the Muakhar. So when Salman Farsi was in Medina Munawwara, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was paired up Muhajirin with Ansar. So they were brothers. So you came from Makkah to Medina, you had nothing generally. So he would pair them up with Sahaba, and then they would share their things, right? So we heard like magnificent stories of Sahaba who had two wives, and he asked the brother, which one do you like? I'll divorce so you can marry her. I've got two houses, which one do you like? I'll move out and you can live there. That kind of a thing. To that extent they went, right? Which was far beyond the call of duty, by the way, but they went that extent. So Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu years later comes to visit Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, where he was the brother of Abu Darda. And Abu Darda used to spend the whole night in ibadah, but his wife used to complain that this man is the whole night in tahajjud, brother. In other words, I'm sleeping alone at night, guys. Like, I understand he's very biased, but yes, like, thank you. Like, anyway, we'll stop there. So, much like Abdullah bin Amr bin As, he got married. For the record, he was 12 years old when he got married. His father was 25. Telling you this much. His father was 25, Amr bin As, and he was 12 when he got married. His wife was also 12. And when his father later on came and asked, like, so how's my son? Yes, you want to buy a son? He hasn't even slept in our bed since we got married. So did the father understand? This man is to my tahajjud. Fast every day, tahajjud every night. When am I going to get grandkids, brother? You understand? So he went and complained to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salman Farsi goes to visit Abu Darda radiallahu anhu. And they're having, sitting down in the house, and he puts down but he went there to give him some medicine, because he heard this man is a bit overboard. Like, we need to be balanced. So Sahaba could do this with each other. We respect the Sahaba, right? For this second, Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu walks in and puts down food in front of him and eat. And he's like, aren't you going to eat with me? Since it's now I'm fasting. Wallahi, I want him to eat with me. Break your fast. And he broke his fast and started eating. Because there's a hadith that says if you break your fast, listen to this one. If you break your yes, Ramadan is coming. I'm going to ask my brothers every day he was invited by another house. Nafil fast, not fard, not qada, okay? Nafil fast, not another take an oath or a vow, right? If you break your fast to accommodate your Muslim brother, you will get the reward of 1,000 fasts when you make qada. This is in the footnotes of Nur al-Idah, Shaykh al-Mubajjal. Okay, cool. So, Abu Darda's eating. They are upset, by the way, but he ate. Time to sleep. They set up their beds and everything, and he lies down. And as Salman Farsi puts his head in the pillow, he checks over there. This man's not coming to lie down. Hey, what you doing? No, we're gonna make wudu, read tahajjud. He said, come sleep. Salman's okay. He came to lie down, and when he just thought Salman, he was now, but he's checking because he knows. So the moment he thought that Salman was sleeping, he got up again. He said, hey, where you go? So the whole night Salman Farsi stood awake, stopping this bro, getting up to read his tahajjud. Third of the night his party said, hey, now it's time to wake up. Woke the whole house up, everyone read tahajjud together. Husband, wife, Amal, Sam, tahajjud, right? Next morning, what happened? Abu Darda went straight to Masjid and went to complain to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that this man prevented me from worshipping Allah. What did he say? Brother, Salman is right. لِرَبِّكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. Your Lord has a right over you. وَلِجَسَدِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. But your body also has a right over you. وَلِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا. And your wife also has a right over you. Everybody's right needs to be fulfilled. Understand? We'll stop there. With this 3 portion of the night, there's 3 people who got rights, we'll stop there. Right. So now, remind yourself why you want to wake up for tahajjud when you go to bed at night. So that the last thing on your mind is, oh Allah, I want to wake up for Tahajjud, which brings us to point number 4. Oh Allah, I want to wake up. So point number 5, next slide. Ask Allah to help you to wake up for Tahajjud. If you really wanted to, you'd ask Allah. Please Allah, like I really want to wake up. I set my kurta out, my coffee is ready there, the flask, the miswak is set, everything is in its place. I literally just need to jump out of bed, go to the toilet, make wudu, and come and stand and pray after my shot of coffee. Okay? And the same thing if you want to fast. You need to make sure you make your intention from the night before, so you're in the zone. So you know, I'm gonna wake up. And now you're going to bed. Firstly, don't forget the sunnah dua before sleeping. I don't want to not ask who knows the sunnah dua before sleeping. But Allahumma bismika amutu wa ahya. Oh Allah, I sleep in your name and I'm going to wake up in your name. Understand? So now you are in ibadah while you are sleeping because you won't miss Fajr. And only a fool will wake up for Tahajjud and go sleep at Fajr. You know, that's like waking up for suhoor and not fasting. Why are you waking up for suhoor and not going to fast? Well, the food is lekker that in the morning. Okay. Go to bed reminding yourself of the reward of the Tahajjud that you want to read. Go to bed affirming that I can do this. If I really want to, we spoke about Jummah. In Jummah, I spoke about everyone talks to themselves. Let's not laugh ourselves. Everyone just don't answer yourself. That's weird. Don't do that. That's weird. Okay? One brother said, yes, I speak to myself because sometimes I need expert advice. Maybe you start meeting. Okay. Don't look at me like that. We all speak to ourselves. So how about you to speak to themselves as well? Fight with themselves for falling into sin. Fight with themselves for making a mistake. Fight with themselves for not doing the right thing. Fight with themselves for losing the opportunity of reward. So when you go to bed, tell yourself, you can't be so useless that you can't wake up for Tahajjud. Don't be that guy. You have a problem. You want the solution. Wake up and ask Allah. If you don't wake up for Tahajjud, but you have a problem that you want the solution for, I don't really think you're sincere about wanting that solution. Because that is the one surefire way of getting a solution. Wake up Tahajjud time and Allah's asking, what do you want? Understand what I'm saying? Allah's asking you, what do you need? What do you want so I can give it to you? And you don't wake up and ask. I'm going to give you a tip after this, right? And then the last one. Actually pick, not the last slide, another slide, right? Pick your hands up and make actual dua to Allah. Then make this a team effort. There's a beautiful hadith. رحم الله امرأ استيقظ وأيقظ أهله. May Allah have, I forget the words now. You see now, Shaykh and Al-Mubajjal is staring at me. So now I'm getting palpitations because if you make a mistake in Arabic and he's not here, then it's alright. I speak about Arabic, right? He doesn't again. He did the hadith too. Okay, may Allah have mercy on the man who wakes up for Tahajjud and he wakes his wife up. And if she doesn't wake up, he sprinkles water. Please be careful if you want. He sprinkles some water on her face. So she wakes up and the two of them read Tahajjud together. And may Allah have mercy on the woman who wakes up for Tahajjud. May Allah have mercy on you, your husband is an aggro kind of a guy. May Allah have mercy on the woman who wakes up for Tahajjud and she wakes her husband up. And if he doesn't wake up, she sprinkles some water on his face. Uncle Shah is going to get water on his face tomorrow morning. Watch. Uncle Shah, warning you from now on, you must chill. So, Uncle Shah, what are you doing now? May Allah have mercy on that woman who wakes up for Tahajjud and then she wakes her husband up, and if he doesn't wake up, she sprinkles water on his face so that he wakes up and they pray Tahajjud together. You're getting rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make it a team effort. So when you go to bed, you and your wife together, make that intention that we're going to wake up and we're going to perform Tahajjud together. So we can get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make dua together. Oh Allah, please wake my wife up for Tahajjud, and she must say Ameen. And oh Allah, please wake my husband, and you say Ameen. Make that a team effort. It's a very beautiful thing to make dhikr, to make dua together as husband and wife. May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. And then, this is now the last slide, inshallah. You can click twice, Uncle Wayne. Baby steps are, you are not going to be able to fulfill the full sunnah tahajjud from day one. Okay? And I'll tell you why. Think about first day of Ramadan, brothers and sisters in Islam. First day of Ramadan, right? How full is the masjid for Taraweeh? If I didn't get a booked spot in the front, I wouldn't find a spot in the masjid. Think about it. I'm the imam that's got a musalla. That's why I can come and walk in whenever. But the first night of Ramadan, Make the mistake of coming after the adhan, and you will read Salawat al-Shureks. You understand? 10 days later, first off, first off. Even if you come after, you can't be a spot the first off. Because why? Because we become pop, right? Because why? Because we're not accustomed to reading even our Farad Salah in the masjid. Now Ramadan comes, we want to add an extra 2 hours of Tarawih to us. So we need to train ourselves. We need to train ourselves. So now, with the same thing with Tahajjud, don't, even though it's great and meritorious if you can do it, but if you can maintain it, خَيْرُ الْأَعْمَالِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The best deeds are those that are done consistently, even if it's a little bit. So if you wake up for 2 rakats of salah, but you wake up every night of the week, it's better than waking up one night and reading 14 rakats and sleeping 6 other nights of the week away. You understand? So 2 rakats of salah. Wake up and read 2 rakats of salah. There are ideals, obviously. There are ideals. Start by praying only 2 rakats just before Fajr time comes in. So wake up in time that I can go to the toilet, make my wudu, have my quick shot of coffee, slan my kurta, perfume and miswak, Allahu Akbar, finish my 2 rakats, short dua, and then Fajr time must come in. So I'm going to estimate about 15 to 20 minutes before the time. Don't set your alarm for 45 minutes before the time, because you'll wake up and sit up in your bed and go, yeah, 45 minutes. I do this almost daily. Oh, still 45 minutes, bro. Okay, just 15 more minutes, right? And then you wake up 5 minutes before Adhan. You understand what I'm saying? Tahajjud is gone, your dua is gone, and if you didn't read your witr is gone too, right? So don't do that to yourself. Don't become overzealous, or what's it called, bite off more than you can chew. Set your alarm 20 minutes before the time expires. So when you wake up, you know, bro, if I'm going to go back to sleep now, I'm not going to even read Fajr. Just get up now, okay? And then it's a question of mind over matter. You need to tell yourself you can do this. You need to, like my one Ustad Abdul Rahim Sheikh from Azarko, right? He taught me Urdu, by the way. Both achha aadmi hai, alhamdulillah, mujhe Urdu sikha. So, why laughing at me, brother? You're jealous?
At my age.
Okay, mashallah. God bless you, brother. God bless you. So, he says, I could never understand the students, or anyone for that matter, who snoozes his alarm for 10 minutes. He said, bro, what sleep are you going to get in 10 minutes? What sleep are you possibly going to get in 10 minutes? But that one snooze, you'll cost you a Fajr sometimes. They said, don't go down that road. When you're awake, you're not going to miss out on 10 minutes. Just get up. Makes sense, right? And we snooze every day after that. So please, baby steps. Start with 2 rakats just before the time comes in, right? And then after you've been consistent for a few weeks, some scholars would say 40 days, some would say 4 months, because that's 3 sets of 40 days, right? Now you ask yourself a question, how long does it take to establish a habit? That's a whole different discussion, everyone's different, right? But it takes a specific amount of time. The Sufis argue 40 days. So if you can consistently read 2 rakats of Tahajjud for 40 days, then when day 41 comes, make your alarm 5 minutes earlier. Now you wake up 25 minutes before the time, okay? And you can add in the extra 2 rakats. So now you're doing 4 rakats of Tahajjud. Okay? If after 40 days you still steadfast on that, make your alarm another 10 minutes early. Now you're waking up half an hour before the time. So now you can wake up, you can make toilet, wudu and alles. 4 rakats of salah, and you've got a long period of time for dua. Otherwise, if you didn't read your witr, then read your witr then and make your short dua before Fajr time comes in. Baby steps. Don't overextend yourself. So, alhamdulillah, Allah bless us with somebody like Auntie Nadia who every year says, please, you know what's going to happen in Ramadan, right? You're going to come first day, you're going to do 5 juz of Quran, you're going to want to read 1 juz after Fajr, 1 after Asr, and then by the 6th, 7th day of Ramadan, you've got a bout of influenza, and then you can't do anything. So please just calm down. We do 1 juz a day. This year I'm insisting on 2, so sorry, I'm only doing 2 juz a day, inshallah. So it's just because we want to overextend ourselves. And year in, year out, I make the same mistake of no, I'm not going to eat savories for Ramadan. I'm not going to eat samosas. By day 3, I'm dying. So I just eat samosas. By day 4, I'm fine. What is the problem? It's a Ramadan cooking. There's no barakah in that samosa. Okay? So don't overextend yourself. Don't overdo it. So I'm saying, like, you don't want to eat The samosas for Ramadan. Eat samosas, but don't eat a dozen every iftar. Have 3. Be normal. Understand? You still have your samosas, but otherwise, as a akbar, when we used to play for fast in the masjid, you see the kids come, they didn't even fast here. Buy plate. Samosa, plate. 15 things they buy and then put in the plate. Because now nobody wants to. I will chow out of your plate, brother. Bring that back. So don't overextend yourself. Baby steps, inshallah. And then I'm going to give you the whole discussion in a nutshell in 2 minutes because we go for Adhan, right? So there's a difference of opinion with regards to Qiyamul Layl and Tahajjud. Is it the same thing or is it not? So you see the two options, the two views. Tahajjud and Qiyamul Layl is the same thing as the one view, and Tahajjud and Qiyamul Layl are not the same thing, and that's the correct view, just so for the record. That's the correct view. Qiyamul Layl is when you don't go to bed and you spend the night in worship until whenever you can, and then you go to bed and you wake up for Fajr, right? That's standing up in the night. Okay? Tahajjud لا بد من أن يكون بعد الهجود. So hujud means to sleep and wake up from your sleep. So tahajjud is forcing yourself to wake up. So in Arabic, when you add extra letters to a word, it becomes more. So you get fa'ala, to do. Af'ala, to make someone else do. Fa'ala, to force someone to do. Ifta'ala, to really go out of it to do. Istaf'ala, to beg someone to do. So as you add words to it, it becomes more intense, right? Tafa'ala, now you're dragging a rock behind you to do it. You understand what I'm saying? So with that, tahajjud, forcing yourself to wake up from your sleep and perform salah. So tahajjud needs to be after sleep. Otherwise, it's not tahajjud, right? However, there is still the view that qiyamul layl and tahajjud is the same thing, right? So if you want to start your first baby step, we can start from tonight. After your Isha salah, read 2 rakats of salah with the intention of tahajjud. Or when you get home, you're going to make wudu, inshallah, which is the sunnah, to make wudu before you go to bed. Make that wudu and read those 2 rakats before you sleep. Like we get masbuk. No? Masbuk is after Imam says salam, then the brothers who came late will stand up and complete what they've must. So if you're reading your 2 rakats before you go to bed, but on the day of Qiyam, when Allah asks, where are all those people who spent the night in worship? If you don't stand up in the first saf because you spent the whole night in worship, or in the middle saf because you spent a part of the night, or in the back somewhere because you read 4 rakats, you will be a masbuk because at least you read something, isn't it? You'll stand up eventually. So after all day walking, then you stood up. Yeah, but I used to read 2 rakats before sleeping. Ya Allah. Okay, yeah, that's what khatma. You understand? The rahmah of Allah is going to be intense for the believers on the day of Qiyamah. If you try, you are going to score on the day of Qiyamah. I promise you. But if you don't try, then you've got nothing to look forward to. You can't really hope in having children if you haven't tried. Imam, make dua, I really want a child. 5 years later, well, where are the children? Amen, make dua, Imam, I still need to find a wife. Bro, yeah, I'm crying for your children. You should have told me to cry for a wife. You know what I'm saying? You want to become a dada before you become a dad. So let us make that effort, inshallah. Baby steps. We can start tonight. If you're not able to wake up for tahajjud, I won't mention any names. I'm asking for a friend. If you're not able to wake up for tahajjud because you keep snoozing your alarm, then read 2 rakats before you go to sleep. Okay? But remember our 6 points. Number 1 is to make a firm intention. Number 2 is to set your things right before you go to bed. Number 2. Number 3 is to remind yourself why you want to perform the tahajjud. Number 4 was to actually physically raise your hand and to make dua to Allah to ask you, to help you to wake up, right? So, you see now. Number 1 was the intention. Number 2. Oh yes, number 1 was the intention. Number 2 was to set your things right. Number 3 was the alarm story. But don't trust your alarm. That brings us to number 5, which is to trust Allah to wake you up. Number 4 is to go to bed, reminding yourself why you are wanting to wake up tahajjud. Then to make dua, ask your wife to help you make dua, ask your husband to make dua with you. And then baby steps. Start small. Start small, but start. Start and be consistent. May Allah give us tawfiq and understanding. What I said is correct is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakah is Rasul. great benefit of the right of my teachers, whatever it's incorrect, it's only my nafs and shaitan. Before you pray to His Most Present Allah, the things Rasul resolved completely. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.